Is there supposed to be any sound here?
Yeah, I thought there was supposed to be sound, but oh well. That's StreamYard for you. All right, folks, we'll turn this off.
Ooh,
It's
go, ghosts.
it's so scary. The scariest part is I don't think that I could stop it. It has to play the whole thing. And what's worse is there's a little black space at the end because I was thinking the outro. All
Hey,
right,
guys.
hey everybody. All right, it's nearly done. Oh, thank God it's done. Oh my gosh.
Right, guess.
Frank is here. Hey everybody. Hey Gutbomb.
Hey, Ron.
Hey. Hi everybody, it's Ron from Ron's Computer Videos. I am joined here tonight by the always on it and handsome and with it and I don't whatever 70
Flatulent.
other 70s terms we want to use. Gutbomb. And we're here tonight. We're going to talk about our favorite episodes of Scooby-Doo, right? Is that what we're doing? This is kind of Scooby-Doo themed, right?
I'm going to be honest. I've seen maybe 2 minutes of Scooby-Doo in my whole life.
Well, then let's throw that away because I was going to say my favorite character is Scooby Dumb, and that is a very unpopular opinion, it seems. So I say that we talk about technology instead. What do you say?
I've seen a lot of Velma online, but I'm not sure I'm supposed to talk about that kind of stuff on the stream.
Yeah, I know. Checking all the boxes. Hi, everybody. Let's say some hellos to people in chat. Eric's Edge is here. Jamie's Hack Shack is here. iFrit05. I think that's a complicated name to say. Chris Angelis is here. CDI. Frankus. Joe from Joe's Computer Museum. Trina's Technobabble is here. 2K Compliant. And Thomas Armstrong is here. We have a few other people that are piling in, Sergeant 960 and such, and we'll say to hi more people as it comes on. But let's get down to biz. Let's talk about
everybody.
the reason why we're here. Gutbomb, why are we here tonight?
This is an intervention, Ron.
No. No. I promise. I'm only buying 3 Fabergé eggs a week. I mean, they're just so tasty. All right. Maybe not.
Ron and I, mostly Ron, came up with an idea.
Yes.
To build something tiny.
Yes.
And then he asked me, can you help me build this tiny thing? Mm-hmm. And I said, yes, I'm an expert at tiny things. And we built a tiny thing together.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So the kind of this way this all started. I meant to bring the books because I've got all the books, and I completely spaced out and forgot about it. So I'll have to make a follow-up video or something later where I just quickly talk about those. But there was a book that I had when I was a kid that was called Build Your Own Macintosh and Save a Bundle. There's 2 different revisions of that, where the idea was that you could take your old Mac motherboard, something you had. Oh, I had a prop here and then I moved it too far away from me. But you could take your old Mac motherboard that you weren't doing something with, and you could put it in a PC case, and then boom, you had a little Mac in a PC case that you could use with a few modifications. You could use Paperwhite displays, and you weren't locked into what Apple wanted you to do with your Mac Plus. You could do almost anything with your Mac Plus. And that really, really intrigued me. So I bought the book and I took it home, and you crack it open, and it basically you get to the page where it's like, I'm looking at these cases and I'm looking at these like TTL video mods and all this type of stuff. And you get to the page, it's like, okay, step 1, get a Mac Plus motherboard. And it's like, I'm a kid and I can't really do that. So the dream died then. But what I found out later is this used to be really kind of easy because Apple used to be kind of lax on service centers returning certain components. So for a while, there was kind of a glut of these old motherboards and stuff just out. Like service centers had them. They were sitting on shelves. They had a whole stack of them. What are you going to do with them? And so people thought, oh, I'll just make a fun little machine. And so people started making Cat Macs. The idea being that it was like catalog Mac, like you're ordering things out of a catalog of parts to make your own machine. And I always wanted to get something like that going, and for years, I couldn't find cases because everything from that era, it's based around a 286 case, because they're thinking it's something that was like maybe a highly integrated 286 case. Think maybe like a Packard Bell or something, where it had all the ports like on the board, sort of like a Mac does, instead of having riser cards and all of that. So you wouldn't have to like Dremel and cut the case and all that, even though a lot of people did back in the day. I wanted something kind of clean. And you just couldn't ever find anything like that. So what happened is years passed and I forgot about this. And then one day I thought, well, wouldn't it be really great to kind of like get back into that and see? And I started looking for these boards online because I'm like, oh, that's got to be trash by now. Well, yeah, it is. It all ended up in the trash. It all ended up in e-cycle. It went to the great dumpster in the sky, and you can't find any of these adapters or interposers or TTL video matrices or anything like your scalers or anything like that. It's just all gone. And so I thought, well, heck, the plans are in these books. I'll just make it. So I made a really simple TTL video adapter that Joe was kind enough. He put it in his store. It sold a few of them. People had neat ideas. They're like, oh, yeah, I got a CGA monitor laying around. It supports a bunch of different frequencies. I'll play around with it. Well, then I thought, well, if you got that, wouldn't it be great to just ditch the analog board completely like you did with these old Macs? Well, or these old Cat Macs. But in those days, you basically had a perf board and some Molex connections on it, and you're plugging your AT style power supply into that to pull your voltages and stuff off, and it kind of jank and not very pretty. So I designed a board that would allow you to use one of these, either a regular desktop ATX power supply or one of these Pico ATX power supplies, these little microscopic ones that just use 12 volt input. Use one of those in your project. And then I thought, well, wouldn't it be great to do this and do that? And it kind of built. And then I was like, well, I'm at the end of what I can do. I need to partner. I need to find somebody that's a really, really skilled modeler, somebody that's got a real eye for design and loves kind of that old feeling of like those Macs. And that's where Gutbomb enters the story.
Yeah, he looked for people and he couldn't find anybody, so he settled on me.
That's not true at all. Gutbomb and I actually worked on a project a year or two ago, or maybe, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago, to create a replacement back panel for the SE for like some of my other project stuff that I do, where it's just like, oh, it's just going to be a DE9 sticking out the back of your machine. So you could plug like your RGBtoHDMI in. And then also had like a little, one of those guys, right?
This guy.
Yep. So
Blue SCSI video.
Yeah. So, and I thought, yeah, that's really neat. I took that to VCF Midwest in 2023 and got a lot of positive feedback about it. And so that's what kind of got me going on the rest of the stuff. But I was like, Gutbomb kicked this out in no time, and he knew exactly what it was that I was wanting to do, and had a real eye for design and a real eye for like how to make things easy but yet attractive. And so that's why I said, you're the person I want to work with on this project. And thankfully you said yes.
Yeah, I fell in love with the idea as soon as you told me. I thought it was a really fun idea to try to build.
Yeah. Well,
I knew what I wanted to do within like 2 seconds. As soon as you said that, as soon as you told me your idea, I was like, I'm going to make a miniature 2SI.
Yeah. And that was the other thing. That was what was in my head, what it looked like. And I didn't say anything to you about it. And you were like, well, wouldn't it be great? And I was kind of like, if it looks Snow White, like Snow White design, that'd be really nice. Or like it kind of mimicked that design language. And you're like, oh yeah, I already know. And so when you drew some mock-ups and stuff, I was like, this is perfect. This is exactly what I've got in my brain. So since we've talked about it, why don't we show it off?
All right. Well, this one demonstrates why it's really cool that it's 3D printable, because you are not limited to platinum.
Yeah.
You could use any color you want. Mm-hmm. This one is blue. Dabba-dee.
I heard we have some potentially copyright infringing filk poetry to go along with this?
Yes, my daughter wrote a poem about this machine. My daughter is 8, so be nice. Yo, listen up. Here's a story about a little guy that lives in a blue world, and all day and all night, and everything he sees is just blue. Like him, inside and outside. Blue his case with a blue little scuzzy and a blue floppy disk, and everything is blue for him and himself and everybody around, because he ain't got nobody to listen. Thank you, Bianca.
So snapping. Yes. Very nice. I love your case. I love what you did with it being blue. And that's another issue, I think, is that it is something that you can absolutely customize and change and make it what you want it to be. Gutbomb was really nice. He printed one for me that is over here. Whoops, over here on my bench. And I think if you give me a second, I will switch cameras and go over there and show you guys what the inside looks like. But this is it. It's up and running and booting, and it's pretty cool. So give me 1 second and I will meet you over there. Now, unfortunately, I don't have like a preview monitor on this side, so I can't absolutely like probably sound the best because I'm kind of having to turn my head to speak into the camera. But
You sound fine.
Okay. Well, the case itself prints in 4 quadrants, and I'm sure Gutbomb will take us a little bit into the technical side of all that before it's done. But yeah, it prints in 4 quadrants. And as you can see here, zoom in a tiny bit. Oh, I gotta hit the autofocus. Maybe.
Hey, I think I just saw Bigfoot in there.
Oh my gosh. Well, gosh, it got rid of the, oh yeah, there's the droid cam controls. There we go.
Hey,
yeah, much better.
Bigfoot left.
Yeah, it got rid of the ability to switch the autofocus. But anyway, the machine itself, this is just a standard SE motherboard, and we're using the interconnect cable that ships with every SE. And it comes over here to a adapter board, which is my, it is a, am I still in frame?
Now you are.
Great. It is basically, it allows you to use the ATX or Pico ATX power supply and breaks out the J12 connection. So you can just plug that in directly from your motherboard. And as you see, this ribbon cable that goes over the top, that connects into a RGB to HDMI. And we have a list of all the cables and screw bosses and everything, or I'm sorry, heat set, screw inserts and things like that that you need to make this project come to life. But the kind of the neat thing about it is it's as soon as you print the case, everything else is a BOM that you can kind of order off of Amazon. The RGB to HDMI that we settled on is the one from Retro Hack Shack, which is not always in stock, but they do get them back pretty quickly. I'm going to hook up speaker because I had them unplugged a minute ago.
Yeah, they are usually back ordered, but when I ordered mine, it was back ordered and I had it within 2 weeks. So he's usually pretty quick about getting new orders.
Yeah, but the case is really nice. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to power it off and spin it around so you can take a look. I'm going to unplug the HDMI as well. My adapter is kind of tight, so takes a second to pop that off, but
I love the placement of the battery.
yeah, it's but yeah, it's that's another little doodad I make. But yeah, it just sits here on the back. But yeah, but
I hadn't seen that before.
Oh yeah, I just did it for fun. But the but yeah, it's very reminiscent of what a real Mac looks like. There's iconography kind of over the ports and such. But yeah, this little port right here, you can mount your HDMI connection. There's an on-off switch that sits around the back. I have mine disconnected at the moment because we've been doing so much troubleshooting and things recently. I haven't hooked it up yet, but it looks really sweet. And when you there's a couple of different use cases again. If you want to, you've got the ability to mount a real 3.5-inch floppy drive. It'll sit here kind of in the corner. I got cables and stuff and I'm not screwing it in, so you'll have to use a little bit of your imagination. But yeah,
when I show off mine, I can show that because I've got my floppy drive in there.
Cool. But yeah, and you can add your blue SCSI. You got these little panels, so if you want to do that, or like mine, I just have an external blue SCSI, so I can very quickly pull it and all that. But that's even easy because, again, you have a front-mounted connection where you can access your blue SCSI. Your SD card just sticks right out the front, kind of like a little secondary modern floppy, you know. And I think this is one of the nicest touches that Gutbomb put on this. Is here on the side, programmer and reset switches that are like real buttons that pop, or you can pop them and hit them and away you go. And whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, if you're programming, if you're resetting, by gosh, you can do it.
Indeed.
But that's it. It's pretty neat. I love it. I love it.
So one of the things that is special about this is it's modular. But if you guys recognize the difference between an SE30 board and an SE board, the SE30 has the RAM and the ROM sim sticking up. And on the SE, the RAM and ROM, well, the ROM is on chips on the board, but the RAM is slanted. The SE30 board will fit in this case because the mounting holes are exactly the same, except you can't use an internal drive like having the blue SCSI in there and the floppy drive in there. But if you don't care about those, or if you're using an external blue SCSI, that's fine. But this also gives an opportunity to the community to remix this case however they want to. I designed this in Onshape, and the files are available to everybody, not just the 3D printable files, but the actual source files that I used to design this thing are available to anybody that uses Onshape, and Onshape is free. Mm-hmm. Not sponsored, but it's really good. You can just go and remix this to fit whatever board or peripheral you would like to fit in there. If you want to make the top of the case like really tall, or if you want to put a hole in it for an expansion card to stick out the top, whatever you want to do, you've got access to do that kind of thing.
Love it. Let me ask you this. Now, if this was an infomercial, this would be the point where I would say, you know, Gutbomb, this has got so many great features. What would somebody expect to pay? $99? $199? How much?
It's $759.
$759. Aichi mama.
No, it's free. We're giving the files away, and it's on printables right now. The link to download the STLs or step files is in the description, and on that page is detailed instructions on how to build it, detailed like a parts list for what you need to buy. You've got some options in there for different kinds of stuff that you want to put in there. And I want to demonstrate one of the pieces there real quick. I set something down on my keyboard and it started hitting buttons. So let me know if you can hear me still.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep. Okay. So we've got this case here, and right now I have the floppy drive and the blue SCSI in there. And for some reason, the only SCSI cable I could find for the show is like super long.
Somewhere there's a Quadra 950 that's missing a SCSI cable.
Yes. But the back of this is modular, right? You can pop this out, and the back is where the ports are. And so let's say you wanted to put a classic board in this case, for example, because a classic board would fit in here too. They're about the same size. If you want to modify this case for a classic, like really the only thing that you have to modify is this back piece that I just popped out. You can just slide it in, put it around your ports and just slide it in, and now it's there. I love the modularity of this thing. Yes. And then the power supply is like a 12-volt laptop charger brick plugged into this little Pico ATX right here. And I've got the same board on here that Ron does right now. It's just it goes from this little board direct into an RGBtoHDMI, which is underneath my floppy drive. And beautiful, crispy 1080p comes out of this.
Yeah, it's really nice. The RGBtoHDMI is a cool little device, that's for sure. So it's kind of pricey, but it does a really good job. So again, I love the modularity of it all. I think it's very forward thinking, number one, to make it where you could print this in quarters. So if you had several 3D printers with smaller build envelopes, you could send them off working simultaneously to kind of speed up printing one of these devices. If you have just one printer, but a smaller build envelope, you can at least do it at home. You're not having to send it off to some sort of expensive service to have it printed. But we did do a little bit of checking into what it would cost to have one of these printed as one piece. And it's somewhere in the $100 range, depending on where you are in the world and what materials you pick. But if you wanted to print one of these and you don't have a printer, there are options out there. JLC PCB, their new 3D printing service, I think was one of the cheaper ones. So,
so this thing prints in each. There's a bottom piece, top piece, back piece, and then the internal pieces. So the bottom and the top each print in 4 pieces, and there are these little tabs that stick off of one piece and sort of slot in to another piece. And I did good old-fashioned super glue and just put glue in the slot and put the tab in the glue, stuck a book on it for an hour, and pretty sturdy.
I know. It's really nice. Mine, I took it to the one you printed for me. I took to VCF Midwest this year, and I also so it made it to Chicago in my rattly car, and it made all the way back from Chicago in my rattly car, and it survived all weekend with people picking it up and looking at it and dry fitting it and all of that. So it's it's definitely designed in a manner where those interlocking things or the interlocking tabs sort of take the pressure off of the other parts. So it works really, really nicely.
Yeah, another thing that I focused on when I was designing this was making it easy to print. And there are some parts that, like, since we've got this design element along the front of the case, we didn't want to compromise on that. So you do need supports occasionally when you're printing this, but modern day slicers use something called tree supports, which are really easy to remove, and they don't use a lot of filament. So when you do print this, I suggest you do tree supports. Another thing that was important to me, because this is a computer, and we tinker with these things all the time, and we put stuff in, take it out, change stuff. When you put screws directly into PLA, you can screw into it like 3 times before you don't have enough material in there to screw into anymore. So it was really important to me to use these heat set inserts that you poke in with the soldering iron. So I made oversized holes for wherever there's going to be a screw, and then you use a soldering iron and melt these little things in there. And these are cheap. You get a bag of 100 for like $3. So it's not expensive. And it makes it so much sturdier and so much more, extensible, because you can take it apart and put it back together without worrying about stripping out your holes. Trina, contain yourself.
But no, again, that was really a smart thing too. I wasn't sure how we were going to address that. I know that I've seen Colin from This Does Not Compute for like PowerBook repairs and stuff, sort of like taking the old heat set, little screw bases and putting them back in the plastic. So it's really genius to use that on this design to kind of keep everything together. But yeah, very cool. So I'm so excited. I'm glad that we finally got together. Everything, all the parts were in place. Everything that we talked about needing, it was all put together, and everything was great. And I was so excited that we finally did the stream.
Yes, finally.
Finally.
Now, when you do go to print this, it takes about a little more than half of a spool of filament to print the whole case. And depending on your printer, I have an Ender 3 V3 SE. It took about 2 days to print all of the parts, because there's a bunch of parts. You can go to the printables link in the description to get a list of the files that are in there. But if you do have a large format printer, we made a combined version as well. So there is a version on there that is just this as one piece that you can go and print. And if you have access to that kind of printer, I'm jealous, because I would love one that big.
I would love one too. If you have access to a printer to print one in one solid piece, yeah, please let us know, because I know we'd both love to have one. I'd love to have one in a wacky color. Mostly because it's neat that you've got, like, Gutbomb went over the top and printed that one in the color fab with like the very Mac specific color and all of that. But I mean, I think that there's a lot of room for customization and just like, just really expressing yourself with the design. Do you print each quadrant in a different color? Is the case a different color than the base? Do you have a 2-tone back panel? Sky's the limit, man. I want to see the amazing stuff that people do.
Yeah, modern printers now, they have the ability to print in multiple colors, just like on a consumer budget. So you can print designs into the top without even without much effort, and it's really neat now. Oh, Garth has a good idea. He said tangerine.
Yes, everybody's favorite.
Goldie also says one made out of recycled filament from failed prints. That's a great idea.
I love that too. That'd be amazing. Well, cool. What else do we have to talk about? Anything else to show off? Anything to do?
I don't have anything, but I don't know. You got anything?
I think I do. Actually, I wanted to show everybody I want to show everybody the combo board that we have inside the machine. I've actually got a version of it that you can actually kind of see pretty decent. Give me 1 second. I'm going to switch over to that. I think this is it. Yes, this is it. Da-da-da. I have the SE combo board. Let's get that window back up here where I can actually scroll around.
Just to be clear, this is the board we both have in there that feeds the RGB to HDMI video and feeds power to the board.
Yeah, you can plug your ATX 2.0 or 1.0 compatible power supply in. You can plug in a Pico ATX power supply, and it's going to provide there on that J12 connection there at the bottom, that bottom Molex. That's what it powers your Mac's motherboard, and then also gets video that it feeds through the little TTL adapter. And then you have two options for output. If you already have a bunch of stuff that's part of my ecosystem that uses the J10, or I'm sorry, pardon, the IDC 10 connection. So if you have like a, oh gosh, like I don't know, like, or if you want to hook up like a real old, like you've got an old CGA display, if it supports the refresh rates that the Mac is outputting, my gosh, you can make an adapter cable, plug it in there, and drive like a real old display if you want to. Or that J12 connection is pinned in such a manner that it will provide all the video signals and 5-volt power over to your RGB to HDMI, so you don't have to run like a separate 5-volt supply over there. So everything is documented on the board. Let me see if I can make this bigger. So all the pinouts and everything are listed. So that way, if you've got any questions about things are hooked up. If you have an application that specifically needs negative 5 volts, the board is not designed to provide negative 5 volts because there's some very like out there use cases for that. Like you're going to use a modem, and you got like a very specific modem that requires negative 5 volts. Then yeah, you might need to go ahead and add a regulator. But there are instructions on the board that tell you where to put it and what type you need. But try the board first and see if it works for your use case, and you should be good to go.
And to be clear, there are through holes specifically for that regulator right there on the board. So you don't need to like bodge anything. You just plop it in there and solder it on if you need it.
Yep, it goes right there. There's also the ability, you could just jumper this on all the time if you want, or you could put in a switch if you want to run to the back of the case like we did. There's also a external connection for LED, so you could run LED to the front of the case if you want to. By default, there is an area for an LED there in the front, and that would be really good to hook up to your Blue SCSI maybe if you want to see disk access, or if you want to see that the machine's powered on, you can run a LED over there too. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh wait, there's one more thing. I wanted to show off a board that I recently designed because I kind of got, when I was working on this project with Gutbomb, what I very much realized was that it is tough to get RGB to HDMI stuff these days. My understanding is that the CPLD that it uses is end of life, and so they're kind of tough to get. You can still get them, but they kind of come out in batches. And if you want to do a project and you want to do it right now, you might not want to wait for another batch of those to come up. Now, supposedly, there is a newer part that's going to enter their pipeline, which should relax some of that, but I don't know when that is. It could be next week. It could be next month. I don't know. But what I wanted to show off is a inexpensive alternative to the RGB to HDMI, because your RGB to HDMI board is something like $60. And then you need a Pi Zero, which is like another $15 to $17, depending on where you buy it. And then you need whatever cables you need to connect it to whatever your input source is. And then shipping, and by the time you're done, it's probably close to $100. And then there are now some other options that have entered kind of the market for similar setups, which are even more expensive than that. So my plan was to release this, which is a combination of the SE combo, which is basically your path for getting ATX power supply plugged into your machine, and a video scaler based on the Pi Pico. So what this does for you is this in one board gets you your power option to plug your ATX power supply in. And it also gets your video out option. You don't need an expensive RGB to HDMI. You don't need another scaler. You don't need anything. You basically just route the extended VGA connection over to wherever you want it to go. And that's it. It's ready to go. You've got video and everything. The boards themselves are kind of positioned to be maybe a halfway point between some of these other solutions, and kind of like doing it the old school way. So it's kind of priced right in the middle, and I hope that people like it. It's taken a lot of work to get it here. It's taken a lot of time, prototypes, testing, sending out demo units to other people to kind of play around with. But here we are. Here's another picture of the board itself, and it includes a nice long extended cable, so that way that you can run that even over to the back of the SE Mini case that Gutbomb just designed. And we tested that out tonight just to make sure that it reaches the base configuration. Yeah. Fits right over there.
On the printables page, you have a choice of whether you want to have HDMI back panel or VGA back panel, since they're shaped differently. This one is the VGA back panel. You can see I ran out of the blue filament, so I needed to print it in black. But that connects up to this board, and it just slots right in. And that's kind of why I showed earlier that you can just take these back panels off and put new ones on when you change your ports, because you also have the choice of video output. And personally, this is my choice of video output because it's designed by my friend Ron. It's cheaper and it's integrated. You don't need a Pi Zero. You don't need an RGB to HDMI, which is hard to get and expensive. This Pico's very plentiful, and yeah.
Yep. So we'll have hopefully a bit of a future being able to make these. It's a cool project. Guru 3, it's his Mac SE video converter, which he was kind enough to give permission. He gave me a lot of assistance. If you check out the front of the board, let me see if I can bring that up here. There are even some nice thank yous on here to my good friend Joe from JCM-1, to Gutbomb, to Guru 3, and to DOS Fox. DOS Fox was working on maybe a similar project, kind of maybe more PAL centric than mine. But he was working on a similar project at the time, and I was able to kind of pick his brain and talk to Guru 3, and Gutbomb was there to bounce ideas off of, and Joe was very helpful with material support to get the project just up and running. So yeah, I'm super excited. This has been a long time coming, a lot of work. But the best part about these, they are in stock today at jcm-1.com. I will throw a link up here real fast.
Yeah, you can go out and get this right now, and you can go download the files right now and get these. Take a little while to print, so
yep.
There's a chance you could get your
start printing
stuff
now and order, and it'll all be in by the time you're done printing. The other fun stuff that I wanted to show off too is this isn't just the header for all this is like the SE Mini project, making use of the SE Pico with or the SE combo rather, with the MacPicoVid adapter in it. But there are other options for people that maybe have done stuff in the older or are kind of part of kind of the, what's the word I'm trying to use? It's like the ecosystem of adapters and stuff that I've made in the past. I want to show you something here real fast. I got to grab that board so I can more easily show this off. But if you remember, I actually last year released, let me switch my video back here so that I can do this a little easier. If you remember, here's an SE motherboard sans Sims, but the I released some boards for people that wanted to make like sleeper machines where you could just mount all the stuff inside your existing machine without having to get rid of your analog board, your CRT, and things like that. And so those are these little J12 pass-through connections, which what those do is you basically just, and this, oops, sorry, I had it the wrong way. I'm looking at it backwards. This is designed to actually fit inside your SE case. There's enough room at the top for the hole where the cable plugs in between the analog board and the digital board here. The idea being is that this will sit between the two. It passes through all the connections from the SE motherboard up to the analog board and vice versa. But it's got this nice tap here on the side, little J12 or J10 connection that allows you to have a cable which you can run over to this new device, which now I got to switch back. And this new device is basically the same thing as the dedicated video side of the SE combo board as a dedicated video scaler. So I have one here. Actually, I have a couple of them. Let me move my other camera and I can show you here on the bench. Gutbomb, entertain our guests while I'm gone.
No problem. Right now, I am switching from the SE combo board, which uses the RGB to HDMI, over to the ATX breakout MacPicoVid, just to show how easy it is to work in this case too, and how modular it is. Yeah, Ron's mic is a little bit lower when he's over at the desk.
Oh yeah, sorry guys.
It's a beautiful product lineup you got there, Ron.
Thank you, sir. Look how I got to keep tapping the autofocus. But once again, here is the adapter. Basically, you just plug your ATX or your Pico ATX power supply in here. You plug the interconnect between the motherboard on your SE and this board. Plug it in right there. You have a jumper for, you can hook up a switch if you like. There's auxiliary LED output, and mine's missing an LED. I took the LED off mine because I was experimenting earlier, but sorry. But yeah, it's you got a Pi Pico, and then you got this output board, and basically, it's like Gutbomb was showing you. It's got a panel mountable VGA connection, or HD15, more known as VGA style connection, but this has all of your resistors and everything on it, so all of that happens at the far end to hopefully cut down on any kind of interference, and that's that. But here's that other board that I was just talking about, and there's actually two flavors of this board. I have one that is that has just a straight oh wait, hold on, I grabbed the wrong one. That's the prototype. But there are two different styles. So you have this one right here that just has a VGA connection right there on the board. And then you have this other version that has a IDC-10. And that IDC-10 is set up so that way that you can use one of these extenders, which are included with the board. You can use one of these extenders inside like a machine where it's like, hey, I'm not ready to replace the power supply yet. That's okay. That's no big deal. I'm not going to hold it against you. But you can, you can just go ahead and panel mount that. You can mount this somewhere inside your machine. All you have to do is give it 5 volts. You can tap that from anywhere you like. Or you can, you can power it directly from the Pico itself, or there's an auxiliary 2.54 mil header back here with a diode, just in case something goes wrong. And yeah, basically that's it. And like I was saying, I'm going to show you, and I'll show you on this. It's a little cleaner to kind of deal with because I got a lot of cables here. But so we have this version right here. You can imagine you have that peak, or that J12 pass-through. That J12 pass-through plugs right in here to the top of the board. Everything is pinned to work together. So basically, there's your input. There's all your video signals coming off of your Mac motherboard. And then you just get VGA output. You can feed it in. Okay, well, what if you don't have all this other stuff? What if you're like, Ron, I just want the board. I'm not going to put all this other stuff in there. That's fine. It's fine. It also includes a screw terminal connection up here at the top that breaks out like video and the sync lines and ground. Everything is documented. Oops. Everything is documented here on the, sorry, the autofocus again. Everything is documented here on the back of the board, so you see exactly what's what and what's going where. Same thing for both the input on this side and the input on this side, the output on this side. Everything should be nicely sort of labeled so you know what's what. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You've got lots of options now for getting video out of your classic Mac. And the way I did these, or the way I did this one right here, that is I used some female headers to mount my my MacPico. So that way I didn't have to make a big investment in Picos for testing things. I could swap stuff around. Now, the ones that ship out of Joe's store, this Pico is pre-soldered in place, at least on the initial batch, because I just didn't want things to be, I didn't want soldering stuff to be a kind of a deterrent for anybody that's wanting to get started. So everything's pre-soldered. It's soldered flush on the board, like it is with the Big Brother right here. And that's that. That's it. It's pretty neat. There's a bunch of different options for your SE, your SE30, your Classic, your 128K, your 512K, your Plus. Lots of fun stuff. I'll shove them all in the frame.
Lovely.
Yep. It's a bunch of fun stuff. Hopefully people will be as excited about these as I was making them, and will come up with some cool projects and share those online, so that way that everybody can kind of enjoy people having fun in the hobby.
And while you were talking there, Ron, I got this thing converted over to using the MacPicoVid.
That's quick. And
yep.
Oh yeah, that's another important thing to point out, is that this was all engineered to work together. So if you already have an RGB to HDMI and you're like, I want to try that first, the board, the SE combo board, is the exact same size between the SE combo for RGB to HDMI and the one for this new MacPico. They're the exact same size. Holes are in the same spot, everything like that. So you absolutely can just later unscrew the old one, screw the new one in, and away you go. I think the other thing I like about this though too is I have a lot of retro computers, and I want to use that RGB to HDMI elsewhere. I want to use it different places
as an external device to hook up to all your stuff instead of having it just sit in one machine.
Yeah, so I absolutely don't. I don't like the idea of like marrying that really expensive piece of hardware to one machine. I'd love to be able to use it with different things. So
especially since they're so hard to get, it's a little easier to justify when they're like Picos and they're growing on trees. But like,
yeah,
the RGB to HDMI and even these, the Pi Zeros, they're getting more expensive, especially if you want to buy them at a retailer that can get it to you the next day. You're
yeah.
paying a lot more than retail if you get them on Amazon.
Yeah. If you notice, occasionally a place like Micro Center will have those Pi W or Pi Zeros on sale, and there'll be one per household. Like it's people, because people hoard them, and because there's a bunch of different fun projects you can do with them, and so people being people will go in and hoard all the toilet paper, and then now I'm stuck using the the shower curtain again. Never again.
Oh, jeez.
Never again. I'm kidding, of course. But the pandemic was terrible. So that's it. That's all the big announcements. That's all the fun stuff that I had to share. And actually I say that, but I got a bunch of new things that'll be in Joe's store. But this is the stuff that I'm really the most proud of. The stuff that I got to work on with my friend Gutbomb, the stuff I got to work on with my friend Joe, with my new friend Guru 3, with oh gosh, with everybody that contributed and gave me ideas and told me that I was doing a really bad job. Thank you all.
You're doing a great job, Ron.
Well, thanks. That's very kind of you to say. I want to say hi to all the people that also popped up in chat, like Ian Scott came, i386SX showed up, Francois showed up, me and Ariana came. Everybody that came tonight to hear the big announcement is greatly appreciated. It's it means a lot. It means a lot how supportive the community is. And I was joking, like nobody said I was doing a bad job, but if I am, feedback is a gift. Always reach out. Always reach out and let me know what I'm doing wrong. So, but
Ron, you're too nice. You got to stop being so nice.
I'm sorry. Hey, Rudy's here. Rudy's got some fun new devices he's going to release here in the next week or so.
I have one of Rudy's secret projects right there on the floor.
Oh yeah. CDI says idea of a right angle adapter board for the SE to make this vertical, adding the combo board LCD panel into a 3 to 4 inch deep compact panel. Yeah, it's very possible. Anything's possible. I don't know that there's necessarily any bad ideas, but I think one of the neat things you could do with one of those internal ones is tap video off of your I mean, you could certainly use the ATX pass-through, or I'm sorry, not ATX pass-through, but the J12 pass-through with one of these adapters for a very easy stealth way to add an LCD. Then you can just get an off-the-shelf or an LCD that has the driver controller and everything with it. There's a lot of those that use VGA, and
Tons.
away you go. Now you might also be saying, well, I mean, it's neat that it's VGA, but why not make it HDMI? Well, you never know what might happen in the future. But right now, this is what we're sticking with. And especially since VGA to HDMI scalers,
so easy to adapt.
Yeah, it's like, okay, it just adds $5 to the project to add it there, then try to have like a completely separate product line. Plus, here's the other thing, and this is kind of maybe selfish on my part. I like the idea of being able to hook up LCDs and real CRTs. Real
That's what that thing
CRTs
does.
are still going to require, yeah.
I've been using this. I've been using this guy all day today on this CRT. Looks amazing.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. That was my other thing too. Because originally when this all started, the idea was to get like a 10-inch Paperwhite CRT and hook that up, and it'd be like, oh wow, this is beautiful. It's like a big screen Mac Plus, something like that.
Yep.
But it's people have like CRTs still hanging around, and people have all kinds of other scaler devices and stuff like that Extron stuff is so cheap these days. Like you could pick up a HDMI 300A. What I don't remember what the model number. RGB.
Yeah, like $30.
Yeah, RGB 300, and then it's like, and then you could scale it and do crazy things and all of that. I mean, it used to be like a $400-$500 scaler. They're like $30 on eBay now. So there's already really, really great scalers out there to take VGA to HDMI. Investigate those, but investigate this too, because again, I think there's a lot of fun stuff you can do with it. I think there's a lot of neat projects that are out there. I can't wait to see what people do with it. That's the big thing. I cannot wait to see all the cool mods that people are going to do on Gutbomb's case. I can't wait to see all the fun projects that people will hopefully pick up and run on the MacPicoVid adapters that are now new and in Joe's store. You can go and get them right now.
Yeah, the what I'm hoping, like for me, I like the SE more than the SE30 because for me, a compact Mac is supposed to be slow and limited because that's what they are. But I know a lot of people are excited about the possibility of doing some SE30 stuff with this, and I can't wait to see what the community comes up with as far as mounting stuff inside so you can still have your blue SCSI and floppy drive in there and SE30 or whatever. Absolutely. And hopefully the community does some stuff there. I'm not passionate enough about the SE30 to do it myself.
Sorry, just looking around. Yep, pretty cool.
Somebody put a real hard drive in here, please. Let's see what I want that to happen.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. It's fanless.
Yeah, quiet, silent.
Yeah.
As of right now, because like the main driver for the fan in an SE is the CRT circuitry. It's not to keep the processor cool because that's perfectly cool already.
Yeah.
It's to keep partially the analog board, but mostly, I mean, partially the power supply, but mostly the flyback transformer from frying itself. There's no flyback transformer in here to fry itself, so no need for a fan.
Yep. It's kind of nice. I'm trying to think. What was the other bit? I can't remember the other bit, but yeah. No, I love it. Oh yeah. No, I was gonna say it's like for people that stream, like streamers, this would be like an ideal setup for streamers because it's a quiet, 100% hardware, real metal machine to stream from. Just stick it on your shelf, pull it out like a console, hook it up when you need to stream, put it away when you're done.
Yep. Here it is. Sorry for the vomit cam, but I have it sitting right next to my Xbox. It's the same size as my Xbox One X.
Way cool. All right. Gutbomb. I guess if that's what we got, are you ready to wrap it up? Anything else you want to add?
Farts,
yeah. Actually, the thing that I would after that beautiful soliloquy, I wanted to say again, thank you so much for taking time to help me with this when a lot of other people were just sort of like maybe one day if I get to it and all that. It
no
was
problem. It's been really fun. I've enjoyed like helping you out with the PCB and then all the stuff we did on the case. It's been a really fun project. I enjoyed it very much. Thank you for the opportunity to and the inspiration to do this stuff.
Yeah, and thank you again to all the people that contributed. DOS Fox, Guru3, Joe, everybody that gave me feedback and at VCF Midwest and looked at what it was and were like, well, what about this and what about that? And I'm like, yeah, no, these are good ideas. Only writing things down, and so we got this final revision now, and it's out there, and it finally feels real. It's been such a weird last couple of months, like having to like kind of sit on things and not talk about it because you don't want to. That's kind of a thing for creative people. This is something that a very smart person told me a long time ago, which is if you're working on something and you feel passionately about it, don't talk about it too much, because if you talk about it, that gives you the same mental reward that you get for actually doing it. And then you become less motivated to actually follow through with it. So this has been something that it's the core people have known, but I haven't been able to tell all my friends. And that's what tonight is kind of about is my boards. And I mean, we did like a soft launch at BCF Midwest. I wish you could have been there, Gutbomb. I know you have other stuff going on. We'll have to get you there next year somehow.
Hazmat suit.
Yes, we will
Goldie
get you
is
there.
Working on getting me a hazmat suit.
Okay, we will get you there, or even like those Tyvek suits, like for painters and stuff like that. It's like you look.
I want an
big dome.
Intel bunny suit. That's what I want to wear.
Okay,
I think that would even fit a little bit. It'd be thematic.
We'll talk to any former Intel employees out there and see what we can get. So, but all right, we'll wrap this up. So, Gutbomb, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening. Thank you to everybody at home. You've got lots of things to do on your Wednesday night, so it's always appreciated when you take some time out and spend it with your friends. So, okay, all right, now let's see, because if I click in stream, it's supposed to play that outro video again, which is supposed to have sound. I don't know why it doesn't have sound, but
if it doesn't, I'll make spooky noises.
Okay, make spooky noises. Okay. All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.